XT881.
Connected. Battery level is high.
Ah!
FM mode 88.5 FM.
Some of her fellow contestants. I think the notion for Fox is that they've been the X Factor, American, Idol, all those sorts of shows are are receding slightly. They want a new reality hit. Now, the rumor on the street is that this show, they want it to be streamed online. They want to maybe produce many episodes from it. So it's a kind of do or die show for them. Now, we've seen shows like this. Obviously, that show was it called Castaway, when we sent those people up to the Scottish island and Ben Fogle became a celebrity out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That was that.
The island of Tarrant, I think it was called.
Yes, you got it.
So it's a similar idea, but obviously with an American sheen on this, which is kind of a multi-million-dollar thing. They're going to do this apparently for a year. Now, if the show, fails, then they may pull the plug on it. But at the moment, this undoubtedly is the reality show of the coming season.
Okay, we'll look out for that. This one from Ross, who's in St. Neots, says, for me the new one is The Strain. He says this will be the new Walking Dead. Walking Dead, I'm going too late, I'm beginning to watch it now. He's pretty good at it. Great author behind that too. Jeff says, if we're talking addictive TV shows, Scandal would certainly be one. A cross between House 24 and The West Wing. You hear a lot of people saying good things about that. Another new show getting its US debut soon is Scorpion. This is a dramatised version of a real-life IT genius called Walter O'Brien. And this show is basically based around the world of hacking.
My name is Walter O'Brien, and I'm a genius. Einstein had an IQ of 165. Mine's 197.
Sign him, and I'll tell you how I hacked into NASA.
Corporal to command. We're Scorpion. He's just a kid. When I was a kid, it got me into a little trouble. Now that I'm an adult, nothing's changed. That's why I started this company. A tactical team made up of the smartest people on the planet.
Whoa, what are you doing?
I got fish.
Just not necessarily the most normal people on the planet.
Another big show with a guy called Walter. Do you think that was their starting point? They thought, that was a massive success. Let's start with a guy called Walter and then see where we go.
Now that Breaking Bad is off the canvas, we can do our Walter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting actually, just to get back what your correspondent just said a minute ago about Scandal. Shonda Rhimes, who created Scandal, who's like one of the biggest people working in TV here, any show she touches goes to gold. She has a new show called How to Get Away with Murder, which I think we'll be talking about in a few minutes. So your correspondent is right. Scandal, amazing, but she is seen as kind of TV Midas, and so she has a new show coming up.
Right.
Now this show, Scorpion, amazing story behind it. He was an Irish kid, Walter O'Brien, who, when he was a teenager, hacked into NASA and comes home from school or wherever that day and just finds all the kind of black vans and cops kind of outside the house. His mum and dad going absolutely spare. And then comes over here and he really does run this unit, which does this astonishing work, very secretive, shadowy work, hacking into computers and doing technical kind of surveillance work, I guess, around the big problems and issues of our time. So Scorpion is based on this show. Now it's interesting that it's going to be a primetime drama, but based on something not just that happened, which we are sometimes used to, but that is happening. And so I find that rather fascinating, that there's going to be a show, I guess, looking at issues of terrorism, all the kind of global issues of the day, and there's these kind of shadowy people whose names we tend not to know, whose work stays forever silent. We may suspect it goes on in the background, but here this work will be given a primetime showing, and it's reported over here that some, I guess they can't show mega secretive stuff, but it's being reported that some highly secretive and hitherto unknown forms of surveillance and what they get up to behind the scenes will be shown as part of a primetime drama.
Yeah, no, it's a nice idea, isn't it, to give that a proper crack. This one says, Suits, my favourite show on TV. 3 of the strongest female characters on TV, makes you laugh out loud, audibly gasp, genuinely cry. high-class corporate law sound boring and unrelatable, but incredible writing makes you fall in love with every character, says that text. What are you watching? 85058. We've only got a few more minutes, Tim, but let's try and get a couple in.
Sure.
Romantic comedy, all about a gynecologist in New York, which sounds unlikely, but she's trying to balance her personal and professional life. It's called The Mindy Project.
I swore off romance because I was tired of being obsessed with guy problems. No offense.
Okay.
And so now I think I'm just consumed with work problems. My cardiologist says I'll be dead at 50.
That's very generous. No guys.
Nope.
Girls.
I wish. I can take a bra. Cat.
So can I.
Not in my experience.
The hooks are small.
Took you like 20 minutes.
You had me blindfolded.
Got all like mad, sweaty, take a break.
Never had any complaints before.
I am complaining to you now.
Yeah, this is a big show, isn't it? And they get some big guest stars on this as well, don't
They
they?
do. It's Mindy Kaling, who I'm sure a lot of people listening have probably seen. I think she's wonderful. It's coming back for its third season. Not much to say about it, really. It's just such a wonderful comic. I mean, if you've had a kind of hard day and it's been raining and
Well, I don't
you
like the process of trying to pitch for this and saying, just go with me on this one, okay? It might not be the most obvious area for comedy, but...
Oh, well, she's just hilarious. I mean, she really could make a shopping list hilarious.
Yeah.
So she's great. I'll tell you a few other things. I know we're running out of time. Grace Point is coming to America. That is Broadchurch, remade for America and starring David Tennant again.
Oh,
in
really?
the title role.
And that's interesting.
Astonishing, but not with Olivia Colman as his
Where's
female.
it set?
I'm not sure where it's
Right.
set, but it's honestly Broadchurch frame for frame type of thing.
Yeah.
But just remade here, and we'll get another season of Broadchurch here too. The Affair is going to be a big Brits in America on American TV. Dominic West, Ruth Wilson playing a couple from two different relationships having an affair with each other, and how that affair plays out on Showtime. How to Get Away with Murder, as I said to you. And Transparent, if you want something completely off the scale, everyone, if you just want to go way off beam, Transparent is about a transgender person, a guy who then has become a woman, and his life and the transition. And so really it's bringing transgender
Put the cash box away.
drama setting, and people are really, really on fire about it. It's on Amazon, and so congrats Amazon for doing it. And it's got a great central performance from Jeffrey Tambor in the big role, in the central role.
Alright, listen, great to speak to you again, Tim.
You too.
And thanks for all of that. We'll look out for all those. Tim Tiemann, who's Senior Culture Editor at The Daily Beast. Gavin in Rickmansworth says the best new show. It eclipses Breaking Bad and Wire for him. True Detective, a lot of people say it's great, don't they? Woody Harrelson, Matthew McConaughey. Fantastic Dark, incredibly traumatic. He says all eyes now on season 2. So many people watching this, it seems, which I believe HBO are about to begin filming, he thinks. Every few weeks we have a look at some of the big travel and holiday stories making the news on Saturday edition, and we do that with Adrian Phillips, who's travel writer and managing director of Brat Travel Guides. Hello, Adrian.
Hello there, Chris.
The father of twins since we last spoke.
Indeed, 4 weeks ago, and certainly they're keeping me on my toes.
Going all right?
Yeah, going well. They've certainly found their voices, mainly at kind of 3 in the morning, but...
Get used to it.
I know. Well,
Get used to it, brother.
Yes, thank you. Very cheerful thought, thank you.
Well, I'm glad they're well, that's good news. That doesn't sound very good at Calais, does it?
No, it doesn't. Absolutely not, no. I don't know anything about that story.
No, I wasn't expecting you to tell us, but that really doesn't sound great at all. We're going to start with knee defenders, aren't we? And as I was saying earlier, this is the sort of thing which, I guess in time, you are always going to get some kind of controversy over. And I'm surprised it's taken this long. This is a US airliner was diverted this week, okay? This was one example. This was after a row broke out between 2 passengers. There was a man who used a device to prevent the seat in front of him from reclining, okay? So they're on the flight. He didn't want the person in front to relax and ease back a bit. because he wanted to use his laptop. So he wanted the seat in front to be, you know, in the kind of upright position. It all kicked off, and they both got taken off the plane. The plane diverted, they both got taken off the plane, didn't they, AJ?
Exactly, yes. This is a gadget that's actually been around for quite a while. I've mentioned it on the show a couple of times, but it's not really been noticed that much in the UK, but it's beginning to really take off in the US. It's a couple of little plastic clips that you put on the arms of the tray, your tray,
very
in front, and it just basically stops the seat in front coming back. You can actually slide it back and forth to allow them to put it back a little bit or not at all. You can kind of decide how much you want to allow the person in front to recline. And as you say, this chap on the airline had got his laptop. He didn't want his the seat in front to come back, so he couldn't use it, and it all kicked off. And since then, the Knee Defender website has crashed with people trying to buy.
So someone's making a lot of money out of it.
Absolutely, the guy. Yeah.
Who is in the right from where you stand on this? Because ultimately, the seat is made to recline. It is part of the ability of the seat. So therefore, as the passenger, having paid for the seat, if you want to use it in that way, you should be able to use it in that way.
I think that's absolutely true by the letter of the law, but it's like anything, you know, you get on the tube and you know there are certain seats you shouldn't sit on, or you give up your seat if a pregnant lady gets on. You don't have to, but there's kind of etiquette to it, and certainly very many people get annoyed about people reclining seats. Certainly it annoys me, and I know there's been, you know, big Twitter campaign and LinkedIn campaign about stopping short-haul flights having reclining seats at all. And I mean, we slate Ryanair a lot, but they don't have reclining seats on theirs. Theirs are always upright, and Monarch have just announced that they're going to take reclining seats off their flights. It is very, very irritating and a rude infringement of space when you find usually a short person actually who puts their seat back and right in your face. I mean, I'm quite tall, I'm 6'3", so maybe I feel this disproportionately, but I think often it's short people who don't know.
Randy Newman on us, man.
I think it's often short people who aren't aware of the impact it has on taller people who do this. That's why
I want to offer an apology to all the shorter people who are listening here. The Asian deliberate.
You're a strapping 6'4".
But I don't know. I don't think there's an argument here. I always find if the person in front of me reclines, then I just think to myself, okay, this just gives me now carte blanche to recline. There's no issue.
Well, if you're on your laptop or you're trying to eat food or whatever, it's actually very difficult to do that.
It's not difficult to eat food reclining.
All right, on your laptop. How do you use your laptop? I've tried to use my laptop on a flight when people recline. You can't. I mean, you again, I think if you're shorter, you probably can. But if you're taller, your head is above the tilt of the laptop screen, so you actually can't do it. It's very annoying.
It doesn't.
I also don't see. Do you really have to recline a seat on a short-haul flight? Are you incapable of doing? Do you have to laze everywhere for every minute of the day?
It's a fair point. Long haul is different.
I think that's fair enough. But I think if you're polite, absolutely. If you're polite and you ask permission to put it back, and especially if the lights are off, crikey, that's absolutely fine. I think it's these short-haul flights where it's a problem. And
what do you do though if you turn around and you say, you think, yeah, I'm on a long flight, and you turn around and you say, you okay if I recline the seat? The person says no.
Well, that's difficult. I agree.
Hold on here.
I know, and that would annoy you just as much as, you know, on the other side when people do it without asking your permission. I mean, there's rage that can go both ways here, which is what happened in this particular incident. What's interesting, this device, the maker gives you a card, what he calls a courtesy card, that you're meant to give to the person in the seat in front of you, explaining that you've attached this device to their chair and saying that you know you're not allowing them to recline because you need more leg room and you're using your laptop or whatever. And if they've got any complaints, they should address it to the airline and get the airline to provide better leg room so that taller people don't have this issue. So that's almost an added insult, handing a card to somebody and saying, right, I'm not going to let you do your seat, move your seat back.
Yeah. Well, in terms of where the airlines and stuff are, I mean, we're going to move on here, but they've not been banned because they don't pose a specific safety risk. No, that's not quite right. The Civil Aviation Authority here and the Federal Aviation Authority in the US, they've said it's up to the airlines whether they ban it, and some airlines have banned it. So most US major airlines now ban it, and Australian ones. The argument is there is a safety issue because if you've put this clip in, you've got your tray down and you lock it in place. If there's a crash and you're in the outside seat or in the middle one,
then it might be that people inside you can't get out because you kind of locked your train in place. That's the safety market.
Well, that kind of makes sense. Look,
but you could use anything. You could wedge a bottle in there, probably and have the same impact. So this is a convenient way of doing it, but I'm so sure people would find other ways.
Riled. Now, do you remember the end of last year we were talking about Amazon thinking of using drones at some point in the near future, and then a few months ago EasyJet announced that they're developing drones to inspect its fleet of aircraft, and they may introduce the flying maintenance robots as early as next year. Here's our transport correspondent Richard Westcott speaking to the drone pilot.
How good will that image be? I mean, what they will be looking, there's a little rivet, how well will you be able to see it?
Yeah, millimetre accuracy, sub-millimetre, so you'd be able to actually see the detail of the rivet in full detail.
Now, you're obviously here as a pilot, and
Yeah.
I won't distract you too much,
okay.
but you're talking about a system in the end that's fully automated, are you? Where you turn up, press a button,
Exactly.
and it flies around the aircraft without you touching it.
Correct. The aircraft will take off, fly around the aircraft, monitor points of damage, lock onto them, record them, come home, land, and then give the engineer a report on his findings.
So that's pretty smart, isn't it? That was a fairly annoying clip with a drone in the background, but that was Ryan Sepley from Coptercraft. He was the drone pilot. Well, now with drones, Disney are getting in on the act.
Let it go, let it go. I want with the wind and sky. Let it go, let it go. You'll never see me cry. Here I stand.
They're exploring the idea of using drones in their theme parks to help produce aerial displays with puppets, light screens, possibly to bring Elsa and Anna to life. That's from Frozen. If you haven't got kids under a certain age, by the way, if you have, apologies to just add to all of the misery.
I've got all this to come.
Oh yeah, well it'll have gone by then.
Well,
Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be here forever. They'll have come with Frozen 2 by then actually, so you'll have new songs to have to deal with in your life 24/7. What are they planning here?
Well, they've applied for a patent to be able to use these drones so they can, you know, the parades they have at the end of every day or during the day, they have these big, massive puppets coming through, but they're blimps usually. They're basically blow-ups of the characters, and they blow in the wind, and they're not very realistic. What they want to do is use drones effectively to carry them through the sky, and actually even manipulate the arms and make them move in a more lifelike way. So you'd effectively have several drones on one leg, I guess, and another on the other, and they control it. So you'd effectively have puppeteers using the drones to move them through the sky. Usually move these puppets through the sky. They also want to have big projection screens in the sky, again held up by these drones. It's basically, I think, the next stage in the way they want to move these parades on that they have in these Disney parks, and just use all the technology they can. But of course, the problem is they're not. These drones are only, as he alluded to earlier, only currently allowed to be used for military or government.
There's quite some restrictions, isn't there?
There are, because basically you're giving people carte blanche to go into airspace, and that could be a little bit dodgy having drones going.
It just seems a shame that such kind of sophisticated technology is used to hold up puppets, at Disney.
Well, there's another argument that otherwise it's being used to kill people. So which would you prefer? But I mean, whether this will happen or not, I suspect it will. Again, the Federal Aviation Administration are looking at trying to come up with a set of rules that will allow commercial use for these puppets. Will be one of them, I suspect, but also from other things like TV news coverage and package deliveries. You said earlier.
Yeah. That's the future.
They'll come up with the rules in the end. But yes, they've applied for a patent for this to do this, Disney. So it may not be too far off.
Okay. Now, haggling abroad can be a tricky old business.
Come on, haggle. All right, I'll give you 10. That's more like it. 10? Are you trying to insult me? Me with a poor dying grandmother? 10? All right, I'll give you 11. Now you're getting it. 11? Did I hear you right? 11? This cost me 12? You want to ruin me? 17? No. 17. 18? No, you get a 14 now. All right, I'll give you 14. 14? Are you joking? That's what you told me to say. Oh, dear. Oh, tell me what to say, please. Offer me 14. I'll give you 14. He's offering me 14 for this. 15. 17. My last word. I won't take a penny less or strike me dead. 15. Done.
Amazing. What did you say?
Got that clear. Well, life in prime.
This is just a cheap excuse for playing that game, really, but
well worth it.
New research suggests the majority of us have done a bit of haggling when abroad, as you might imagine, but are we any good at it, Adrian?
I don't know whether we are, but I think a lot of men think they are good at it. The research says that 60% of Brits have haggled while on holiday, and 40% or so actually choose their holiday to go to places where they can haggle and get good deals. Men are 3 times more likely to haggle than women, apparently, which I don't think will come as a huge surprise. But it is funny. I mean, I think that Life of Brian clip really sums up the certain nervousness and intimidating attitude that people feel about haggling, at least at first. What I find when I go on holiday and I'm haggling is that at first I find it very difficult, and then gradually get into the spirit. It becomes a kind of a sport of sorts, doesn't it? You kind of get to really enjoy it. There's a kind of flip side. I think it's fine when you go into places, I don't know, Marrakesh, and you go into the souks and they're really used to tourists, and there's a game to the whole thing. You know they're already overcharging you from the start because you want to get into this banter. I think that's fine. It gets a bit more dangerous when tourists begin to see it as a point of pride in other areas, in smaller villages perhaps, or in cultures where bartering isn't quite such a part of the landscape. And people, tourists will start really trying to haggle people down over what to the tourists is a very small amount of money, but to the person on the other side is actually quite a lot of money.
Because you're thinking, well, I don't want to be done here. Exactly. I don't want to end up paying a ridiculous price and them laughing at me the moment I walk away. But then at this, but you're right. And in fact, Bert from Blackburn, he emailed. He says a few years ago we were stopping at a hotel in the Gambia. A local had a small workshop in a corner of the grounds. He made intricate and beautiful wood carvings. He worked away all day, had quite a collection. I've got the impression he didn't sell many because there were only the hotel guests as customers. I spotted one I fancied, haggled hard. I got it for a ridiculous price and was quite pleased with myself. The following day he approached me by the pool. He simply said, I shouldn't have sold you that piece at that price, but I was desperate. I've got 4 kids. There wasn't any food for them yesterday. I could have crawled away, he says. I never felt so low. I ended up giving him the piece back. There's no way I could have kept it after that, and slipped him quite an amount for the Gambia. It saved my conscience, he says, and I hope it did his family some good. I hope some people remember this tale when they're next haggling abroad.
Yeah, and I think Bert's absolutely right. And often you'll find yourself haggling over, in Thailand, say, the baht. It feels like it's a lot of money when you're talking about 300 baht or something, but it's virtually nothing. And you're feeling, great, I've got 20 baht off that, and it's pennies. And you really find yourself, you can really fall into that trap of forgetting the value of what you're haggling over in the end, certainly to you, the value of what it is to you, when actually it can be disproportionately higher in value for the person on the other side. Of course, there's always a problem because Bert doesn't know that guy that he talked to wasn't having him on, and pretending that... This is the problem. Tourists feel defensive. They feel as if they may be somebody trying to pull the wool over their eyes. They're in a foreign destination. They want to appear streetwise. They don't want to feel they're being dumb. And so that can mean that they can get overly aggressive sometimes in some of their haggling, I think.
We're going to leave it there, Adrian.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, thank you. Really nice to speak to you. Adrian Phillips, travel writer, managing director of Brat Travel Guide. Some interesting stories there, wasn't there? The last 10 minutes of our show, we're going to talk technology as we do every week, and that is with tech expert Maddie Moat. Hello, Maddie.
Hello.
Okay, now we're going to start with this, the $10 million competition in an effort to build a real-life version of one of the most famous gadgets in sci-fi, which is the tricorder.
These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission, to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
It was made famous in Star Trek. I must confess, I wasn't a massive Trekkie, and I'm not hugely familiar with the tricorder, I have to say. What is it?
Okay, so in Star Trek, the tricorder is a handheld device that they use for all sorts, really. You've got sensor scanning and reading vital signs, but one type of tricorder they used was the medical tricorder. So it's a fictional device from Star Trek, but we think that we can now create the same piece of kit with a little help from a $10 million incentive prize.
So you kind of scan across the human body and it can tell what's wrong.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it was used in Star Trek anyway. So how it might be recreated now, it might not necessarily work exactly the same way, but the idea is to create a handheld device that is able to detect vital signs and diagnose diseases.
Now, how does this work? Who's got 10 million quid to just throw around on something like this?
Well, so the money is coming from Qualcomm, who are an American tech giant. They design and market mostly wireless telecommunication products and services. But the reason they've got involved with this X Prize and they have this $10 million incentive prize is actually just to encourage innovation and to create a device that is going to be able to help consumers make their own health diagnosis anywhere, anytime, because very few methods exist for us to actually receive direct medical care without having to see a professional. So a device of this type is, could help reach and diagnose everyone anywhere.
Let's hear from one of the finalists. But also, actually, they must kind of know that no one's actually going to do it, because they probably don't want to stick 10 million quid on the line if they think that someone's going to do it, do they?
You'd be surprised.
Would I? Let's hear from one of the finalists. This is Walter De Brew describing what his Scanner-Do product does.
It gives you all the vital signs, the temperature, your heart rate, your systolic and diastolic blood pressure, your respiration rate, SpO2, and your heart rate variability. It happens several times a day, and basically this is how my my time chart looks like, and I can collect this information and share it with my doctor.
Let's go on to this then, Maddie. Another year, another launch by Apple.
It's that time again.
There's not another company in the world, is there, that gets quite so much publicity when it brings out a new product. The company's confirmed a special event for September the 9th. What are we expecting?
Well, the invites are as secretive and aloof as ever. They just say, wish we could say more, but it is extremely likely that this is going to be the launch of the new iPhone 6. And if we're lucky, we'll also finally get to meet the mysterious iWatch. But whatever it is they do decide to launch, we can assume that they will be running the latest operating system, iOS 8, which was launched all the way back in June.
Okay, it's a launch taking place at the Flint Center for the Performing Arts. This is where 30 years ago the Apple founder Steve Jobs introduced the first Mac computer, or rather, he introduced him.
Hello, I'm Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bag. So it is with considerable pride that I introduce a man who's been like a father to me, Steve Jobs.
So, no coincidence, I guess, that that's where they've chosen to do this launch.
Yeah, I mean, I think it certainly helps create a buzz, and it also suggests that that Apple consider this to be a big and a very important announcement. And I think with the likes of Samsung Galaxy S5 and the Xperia Z2, HTC One M8, they've really stepped up their game, and they're legit Apple contenders now. So Apple really do have to pull something impressive out of the bag to impress us. And really, we haven't seen a new product line from them since the iPad, so it's time for a big wow moment.
Yes, whether they've got that big wow moment, we'll see. But that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. Now, think of a solar panel, and you think of a big blue thing with lines or dots on it. We know what they look like, not particularly pretty. But researchers at Michigan State University say they've been able to create fully transparent panels that look just like, normal sheets of glass.
Right.
And they think in future any glass window or screen could be used to generate power, which would be quite something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tricky. So if a material is transparent, like glass, by definition, that means that light just passes through it. So what these are is they actually have organic salts inside them, inside the glass. And these absorb the wavelengths of light, and then they luminesce, glow. And it's this glow which is then guided to the edge of the plastic of the glass sheets, where thin strips of the conventional photovoltaic solar cell convert it into electricity. So really what it's doing is capturing the light, creating a glow, and it's the light from the glow which is what's giving us the electricity.
Okay, so you no longer have to stick them on your house. I mean, you could just, use them as normal windows. That would be the idea. But also, they're saying you could have a whole glass wall of skyscrapers, that kind of thing, which would be an enormous level of energy.
Exactly. So on small scale, so example, if you just replace the glass on your phone, it wouldn't really make much difference. But when you put it on a large scale and you consider a whole office block of windows being covered in this stuff, it could make a huge effect.
What if you stick a football through it, though? That's what I would think. It would be expensive call to the glazers, wouldn't it? It wouldn't just be like a nice easy piece of glass.
Apparently it's quite affordable in comparison to your usual solar cells, so I don't know.
Okay. Let's talk about technology which might one day completely transform the home shopping experience, getting things delivered to your home, often not as straightforward as it should be.
A depot car? We're trying to deliver, but you're out. This is the smallest piece of paper in the world!
Welcome to UPD Delivery. Please state clearly when you would like the package re-delivered.
Tuesday.
Did you say
Monday?
No.
I'm sorry, we couldn't identify.
Tuesday.
I'm sorry, did you say
Thursday?
Tuesday. I literally can't make it any clearer.
Yeah, and we've all been from Miranda, obviously. Google, Amazon, they're pressing ahead with this drone technology, aren't they? And I don't know about all this. Google have been talking about it this week, haven't they? We had it all with Amazon towards the end of last year. It all just felt a bit like publicity in the run-up to Christmas with them. What are Google suggesting here?
Google, we're talking about Project Wing, and this has actually been running for 2 years, and it's been a secret until now. But they've also been building and testing drones, aircraft, and they have a wingspan of about 1.5 meters, and they've got 4 electrically driven propellers. They're different from military drones in that they are pre-programmed with a destination, but then they can fly themselves there automatically. But this isn't just like flying your shopping around in the same way that Amazon are looking for a consumer service. The Google's long-term goal is actually to develop drones that could be used for disaster relief by delivering aid to isolated areas, potentially being used after earthquakes, floods, extreme weather conditions. They can even drop off, defibrillators or small items of medicine as well.
Yeah, which sounds a bit more useful than just having your new pair of trainers delivered by.
Yeah, well that's what Amazon are up to, so they're very interested in using them for consumer deliveries. This is their Prime Air service. And their goal is to get packages into customers' hands in less than half an hour.
Is it indeed? Okay, all right, Maddie, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Maddie Moat, who is our technology expert. We do a technology roundup every week on the show.
On digital and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
bbc.co.uk/5 Live.
I'll get the mail tomorrow. It's so sticky out here. Oh shit.